A launch isn't just about selling a product. It's about creating a movement, building anticipation, and delivering an experience that transforms lives. Success starts with the first step of showing up and believing in your idea.
Welcome, champions, to another edition of Champion Reads, the online book club where we discuss the best books out there today and how they apply to our lives, our businesses, the principles we can apply and learn from and grow from. The best place to learn about the best concepts on the internet today. Champion Reads is brought to you by Champion Circle, the networking group where we utilize the methodologies of the mastermind and helping us to accelerate our growth, accelerate our business, accelerate our lives, and accomplish anything in 90 days, with a small asterisk there. Welcome. Today we are discussing the book Launch by Jeff Walker. We've talked about this a little bit so far, but Launch is the book designed to help you to grow, sustain, and accelerate your business by continually doing launches, whether it's initial launch or continuing making launches throughout the year. And Jeff in the book talks about the timing of these and how to do them. But the idea that launches will help to grow your business, renew your business every time. So we're going to go through a few of those principles today. And I think the first one is, how do you get a launch to be exciting? Fact is, if nobody wants to go to the launch, it's going to be a failure to launch. I haven't seen that movie, but I think that's a reference out there. So how do we make a launch exciting? How do we get people anticipating it? What are the tools? What are the techniques? What are the examples that you guys have used in your life to build up a launch, get people pumped, get them excited so that they eventually show up and they buy something?
I'll jump in and just quickly say, I'll say that what's interesting about these topics, and I know that you're proposing the question for discussion, but I think when you're in a position to ask those questions, like, how do we get people excited? How do we build anticipation about our product, service, or event or opportunity, right? Usually those are the people who are organizing. They're behind the wheel. They're the creator of this event. And what's interesting is I think that a lot of people should be asking an alternative question, which is, well, what makes me excited? What builds anticipation for me? And when they see it from their perspective of like, hey, I went to that grand opening to the new donut shop, Krispy Kreme just opened up down the street from us in our hometown. And
I'm excited.
Everyone was, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everyone was excited, but I was like, what's so good about just a glazed donut? I didn't get it, but everyone was pumped about it. And I realized like there's not only just a cult following, but Krispy Kreme does this thing with people where they're like, oh man, they build an experience, and everyone who's been to a Krispy Kreme or heard about Krispy Kreme, they know that it truly it fills the soul. And by the way, what an interesting name, Krispy and Kreme. I don't know a crispy donut there, and I haven't had any cream-filled ones just yet. I've only had the glazed ones. So it's an awesome, awesome name for something I've never had on their menu. Like Five Guys burgers and fries, definitely had that the other day. But essentially any grand opening, there builds this anticipation. So when you ask yourself the question, like, how do I do this from the perspective of a business owner, an entrepreneur, or a launcher, you want to see it from the perspective of, well, what gets me excited? That's a great place to start. Now, that's not always the right answer, because you may not be the right demographic for your launch. But take a look at just what makes humans tick. And that's a great place to start. And I don't know, I just love the premise of this book, guys, because it made me think, like, there's so many steps to a really good launch, and we'll get into that. Like, we can talk about the building lists part, the social media strategies, and that stuff we geek about all day. But what I love about this is what you highlighted, Ian, and that's launching is easy. It's something that we do every single day when it comes to like getting motivated, getting excited, and doing things that need a little gearing up to do. You know, let's put our shoulders to the wheel and really lean into it, because that's what excitement and anticipation is built on. So I don't know. It's that's a cool book, guys.
I like that point of view. Do what's exciting. If it's exciting for you, it should be exciting for other people, with the asterisks, right? Because if you're building a product, it should apply to, well, in some cases, now that I'm thinking about it, my example might not be the perfect one, but it should apply to you, right? I know for a lot of people, like, if you want to be the best salesman, you got to use the product, because when you use the product, you get experience. You're able to figure out the strengths, the weaknesses. You're able to figure out the pain points of the other people using the product, and just get like this whole encumbersome universal type understanding of what the product is and what you're launching about, and building that excitement. One of the favorite things I love to do is whenever I am trying to get something to go forward, and when a product or service or whatever it is, I like to go into the community of people already using it. So like with me and dyslexic coaching, there's this Facebook group that is specific for adult dyslexics who need a support group. Like it's literally a support group, and there's like tens of thousands of people that are in there, and people post all of the time. If I'm needing to find the pain points for dyslexics, that's the group I go into. And especially if it's like adult dyslexics, that's where I go into. If you're launching a product for like the health industry or pharmaceutical stuff, you want to find groups and communities that are deep within the medicine, the research, like finding out doctors and pharmacists, and like you want to go and be at the places in which these people are. Because just like the party in high school that all of us either went to or dreamed of going to, it was the party. It was the best part because of that hype. And not just the hype, but people understood that was the place to go to. That's where all the information, that's where all the excitement and the cool kids were. And that's because it might have touched on a few pain points. So getting in that community is so freaking important when it comes to launching a product.
So you're saying that launching is emotional?
What?
What? It pricks the hearts and desires of humans? What?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. How do you get excited? And I love that you guys touched on there. That's the notes I had written down. Where are your customers? And then be there. Get where your customers are. William's customers are people who have dyslexia. So how do you get them excited? Well, you go to where they are. You go to the forum for people who are looking for help with dyslexia, and that's where you launch it. If you're selling toys, then you stand outside the preschool. You find out where your customers are, and you be there. You be there. There we go. You be there or be square. Find where your customers are. Are they on Instagram? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Twitter? Are they on TikTok? If that still exists after tonight. A little bit of timeliness into our discussion today. But find out where your customers are so you can target those people, because they're the ones who are going to get excited. And you're going to build that excitement with like we geek out about certain things. Find the people who geek out about your products and start talking about it there, and they'll build the excitement for you as you go in it.
Here's a quick example, guys.
Go ahead,
I just want to jump in and say that so you guys know, and I've talked about this on the show, I'm obsessed with volleyball. Okay. I'm in this volleyball community, and that's where a lot of my social life is. And I'm at the courts one night, and I throw around this idea, and I'm like, hey guys, I know we're usually hanging out and playing volleyball, but are you guys at all interested in, and this is like the prospecting, right? The questioning, like, what do you guys do outside of volleyball? And so getting to know my audience a little bit, I asked them, are you guys into like game nights? And they're like, yeah, give or take. I'm like, okay, what kind of games do you guys like? And then they tell me, we like not board games, maybe card games, maybe some poker, but we kind of like the like interactive, like let's get together and just like have a ball kind of stuff. And I was like, oh man, and I already had an answer ready, but I just wanted to like gather information before I started sharing what was coming. And I said, hey, would you guys be interested in like a couple months? My wife and I, we're going to set up a murder mystery party. And it's like where you get into roles, we send you ahead of time, like who you are and what you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to act. And then when you come to the party, it's all like all in character. Would you guys be interested in that? And they were like, oh my gosh, that would be so much fun. And I had to like sell it. I had to give them the idea, the picture, and talk to them through it based on their interests. And then there's like one or two people out of like my whole group that were like, that sounds fun, but I've never done it before. And it's like, oh my gosh, if you've never done it, you've got to try it. So the inner salesperson in you just comes out. And then, leading up to it, because a couple months was a long time, we put a date on it. We started talking to people about it. We started giving them small little roles in the process, meaning we made them feel like they were part of the building of it. And then, of course, to contribute, we said, obviously dress up, come dressed in the theme, and bring like an hors d'oeuvre or something to the night. And we'll all get together and just have a really, really great party. And I'll tell you guys what, it was such a hit that all my volleyball friends have told their volleyball friends, and it is expounded. And now it's like, I'm going to have to hold lines and reservations and waiting lists if we ever do it again. And that was a great experience because it was not just a party. It was like an experience. But think about what I just said, and I'll pass it over to the guys. We have a rule here on our podcast, and that's, don't talk for too long. But if you hear what I said, there's so many little things that went into that, like creating the anticipation, helping them feel like they're involved, like they're part of the launch, give them a role, start focusing on leading up information, and then also neglecting certain informations like who's who, what they're going to look like, because they are going to create those things in their minds. And then all of a sudden their imagination has done so much more for you than you have to do when it comes to the launch. So you thinking you have to spend a lot of money on a launch is very, very wrong. You don't have to spend at all a lot of money. Instead, let the imaginations and the excitement and the anticipation in the humans, because they have emotions, build up so that they do all the work for you. And that's a beautiful analogy to creating an effective launch.
I'm going to dive into two of those points. First one of being like, if it's top of mind awareness, like if people know what's going on, they will continue to think about it. So whenever you are putting something out and they look at their email and they see an email from you, they look at their social media and you're just like on their For You page, everyone's just like, what the heck is this event? What the heck is this launching going on? So it's so important to have things in the front of the mind. And the way to do that is the touch points. You just continue to have touch points, text, email, social media, whatever it is. Have those touch points to bring it to the front of their mind so that their mind is creatively getting those juices flowing about what the heck is going on right here. And the second thing is the geek out sessions that we have. John, you and I have had so many geek out sessions. Then all three of us, in like before and after these shows, we have geek out sessions to where we're just like, oh, we wish we would have kept recording to have like this background. What's it called? The behind the scenes type footage. And there's such a crucial point in that, which is you got to do stuff that you love doing. And when you have a group of friends, like your group of volleyball individuals, and you start talking and you start geeking out a little bit, it builds excitement like that. So it's sharing what you have with everybody that you talk with. Like who's going to know about it if you're not sharing about it? So the more that you share, the more people get excited, the more that you can geek out with everyone about it. And then the more that it's becoming front of mind awareness to where they get that exposure. And then lo and behold, launch date happens and boom, so many people are coming to your event or getting your product simply because you just geeked out and you kept hitting those points of awareness.
I think you hit a key point on that, Willie. If you're going to build excitement, you better be excited about it yourself first. If you're not excited about your launch, if you're not excited about your product, your service, well, first of all, you're probably in the wrong industry. You need to be excited yourself. There's a quote I saw written on a wall somewhere decades ago now. It said, enthusiasm, light yourself on fire and people will come to watch you burn. Now, I don't know exactly what that means, but I always love it anyways. If you're excited enough, you're going to build that excitement. And that's what John said in his. He took some people who weren't excited and they saw his excitement, and that built it on to them, and it spread out among that group. So yeah, it starts out with us being excited about what we're doing, and finding that right market, that right target that wants to be excited as well. And for those of you who listen to all of our podcasts, I'm going to repeat a short story here. Those of you who are new to it, listen up because it's new to you then. But one of the best launches that I had read about, and it was a friend of a friend story, but he had a pizza truck. And he started by going on Twitter and he did the hashtag pizza for his community. And he started building up a following of people who liked pizza and talked about pizza. Then he said, I'm going to have everyone come to my garage and test out the different pizzas so you can pick what I'm going to have in my pizza truck before I launch the actual one. And he built up that excitement with a community of pizza lovers who got skin in the game. So when he did the actual launch and took the truck out on the streets, he had an audience who couldn't wait to go and support this business that they helped to grow because he was excited. He found a group of people who were excited. He brought them into the process and built up that audience, that anticipation of being live. And then when he pulled out his truck out, he had, I believe from the story, the most successful pizza truck in Milwaukee, at least for a while. So excitement, building that excitement.
I'll jump in and quickly say there's this power, and you guys don't know I'm going to say this, but I just was thinking of it as you were both talking. Yeah, here's the anticipation, right? I just did what you were saying. 2 points: consistency and rhythm. Okay, one of the things I love about the book is like it talks about the importance of touching base with your clientele and your market, and so they get heavily into like the details and the minutia of creating email lists, nurturing your contacts and keeping them warm. You know, there's so many aspects to this, but those are all part of the strategy implementation. But think about it from a bird's eye view. Let's step back and just take a look at this. When you take these examples that we just talked about, whether it be the murder mystery dinner or, you know, the different events that are coming up, right? You want to create a rhythm of excitement, and that's just touching base, a consistent what's the metronome? It ticks, ticks, ticks. You want to keep a consistent rhythm, a metronome of conversation with your audience, right? But there's a process when it comes to building anticipation. You don't want to build so much anticipation that it's so much better the dreaming of the event than the actual event, right? Otherwise it'll we have a bomb there, but it's not for the truth, it's for just terribleness, right? So you want to build that anticipation the right way. But when it comes to consistency and rhythm, you want to focus on disrupting that consistency and rhythm on a quarterly basis. And have you guys ever seen pop-up stores that just jump out at you in the at the mall or around town, and usually they come around seasons like Halloween Town, Spirit, and those like seasonal companies. Well, little did you know, those companies make billions of dollars. That's billions with a B. They do so regularly because they don't sell all year long. They build up the anticipation around a particular event, and then when they're open and available, people are like, "Oh my gosh, I got to go to Spirit or Halloween or whatever it might be, the Christmas store," because it's built around something that you only get. So you do create scarcity, and you do create a run, don't walk mentality to get there. But you've got to break the rhythm, and that's because pop up opportunities happen, and they do a lot for your brand. They do a lot for your business. And so by adding a inconsistent consistency or a pop-up to your consistency and rhythm, only surprises people and takes them back and says, wow, I got to act now. And that's another key to really, really encourage you to do, which is why launch isn't just about like launching your business once. No. Launch is about creating consistent launches, disrupting your rhythm and your consistency by focusing on what you can create regularly and have spikes of awesome success on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, whatever it might be. And it depends. Like, take everything we say with a grain of salt, because everyone's businesses are different. Your market is different. Your service is different, but you can still apply these services in many different ways. So be creative, disrupt your consistency, but don't disrupt it out of order. Don't disrupt it so that it ruins your progress. Disrupt it so that it shakes up the environment and says, this is a beautiful song of melodious, hey, what's going on? And then let's move forward. And here's the next event. And I'm just touching my basis and making sure you're good. And then what's up? Bro? Okay, I'm going crazy, guys. It must have been too much coffee in my coffee, but I just wanted to kind of eloquently share how disruption, it works. And it creates just a powerful, powerful tool. And unless somebody unmutes their mic, I just keep talking. So I'm going to pass it over to whoever else.
I will unmute my mic, my good friend. It reminds me, this wonderful individual who is working on her public speaking skills. One of the good friends that I have in the community that I work in, to help with public speaking. And she is a vocal coach. And so what she does at the beginning of her speech is, when she gets up on stage, everybody's waiting for the quote. Everybody's waiting for the statistic or that massive hook. What does she do? She sings a few sentences of a song that she created and then goes into her keynote. And I'm like, how cool is that? How cool is that to like disrupt the normal flow of like people being like, all right, let's get into this next speaker. Then she starts singing and everyone's like looking around thinking like, who the heck is this great singer? And then she gets into her song, gets into her keynote. It's like, wow, that's amazing. Then another example that I heard about that I actually know about. My wife gets these gluten-free, they're like chicken, they're not chicken nuggets, but they're just the chicken breaded balls that are gluten-free. And this company that they don't have them out there for everyone to get at any time. Every single month they have this date in which you got to order your next one from. And then they don't do the next one until I think like a month or two in the future. So it's very limited time offer in which you can get these gluten-free chicken, which any of those individuals out there who have celiac disease or are eating gluten-free, it's kind of hard to find gluten-free stuff, especially ones that taste really good. And so this company that limits the offer in which they create this batch of food, as well as in such a niche of gluten-free individuals, it's like such a powerful disruption for people to come into. So those are two great examples where it's just like disrupt individuals, disrupt their pattern or flow, and you'll be surprised what's going to happen from it.
I love that. And that disruption, as you're talking about it brought a couple examples to my mind as well. Think about the last time you guys were walking around a shopping mall and you passed a jewelry store, and they had a sign that said sale. Okay, I have never walked by a jewelry store in the mall that did not have a big sign advertising a sale. They launch 370 days a year, it feels like. More than possible. They're always launching, and I have never, ever felt pressure to go in there and buy because I was going to miss out on a deal. When your norm is the exception, there's no more exception. For those of you who've seen The Incredibles, when everyone's a super, nobody's a super, or something close to that. Now, compare that to McDonald's. McDonald's is the master of the launch, the McRib. There are whole communities out there searching everything they can to find out when the next McRib is coming out. And when the McRib comes out, I go buy one. And afterwards, I'm disappointed because it's not any greater than I remembered it before. But they are successful because I go buy it and I eat it. And I think, hey, the McRib is back. I need to get back to McDonald's, because they have built a continual excitement for the McRib so that when it comes out, people rush there to buy it. They've mastered that launch because they found something people like. And if they had it all the time, and I think they tested keeping the McRib on the menu, and its popularity just plummets after a couple of weeks. But a couple of weeks later, or a couple of months later, people are excited about it again. That's what we need to do. We don't necessarily need to have a new product, a new service, a new and improved, grandma's old-fashioned bread. We don't need to do that, but we need to keep that excitement. And if John had a murder mystery every night of the week, they'd get sick of it. If this lady sang every time they came up, and all she did was sing, and people just knew she was a singer, then she just becomes a singer, just another one. Instead of, here's an excitement to see something coming in, changing it up, building it, and you want to see what she's going to do next. Get excited about your product, build that excitement. It doesn't have to be new every time. It just has to be exciting. As exciting as a McRib sandwich, a piece of pork shaped exactly the same as every other one that every other person is eating. It's not exciting, but people get excited. So we are coming up on the end of this. So I'm going to build up some excitement. What is your last wisdom from this? What is your nugget of wisdom to carry us on to the future and to make our launch exciting, as I try and talk correctly? And I'm dragging this out to try and build excitement, and I am failing at that. So this is what you don't do.
I never talk correctly, so you're good.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Build up excitement. What's the next time Ian's going to mess up his words? We're going to start a drinking game, take a shot every time. But let's do a last rapid fire of what's the wisdom from this?
I'll jump in and just say, like, with the time shortening, it crescendos our excitement around the topics, and our brains just wake up in the mornings, and it's awesome. But what I would say is just, take a look at your product. Food companies are a really great example to focus on examples of growth and launching. Like you mentioned, the jewelry companies, those are hard to sell, because by the time we want to go and spend money on jewelry, we're usually in a panic because we're just trying to figure out how do we keep our wives thinking that we're awesome. And it's more selfish than it is selfless, right? But what I want to say is in wrap up is focus truly on getting your product or service or your event or whatever it is that you're bringing to the universe. Give it the proper attention. Give it the proper rise. Don't ruin a great product, service, or anything by just popping up with no consistency, with no rhythm, with no buildup, and just saying, yo, we're here. Like, that doesn't work. You want to really know your market and really do your research. But again, don't overcomplicate it either. Be simple as launching a holiday party or some sort of theme or anything in regards to what gets you excited. And I think that'll really help you.
And to finish up my words off of that, wrapping this all in together, it's your product, it's your service. So when it comes to this launch, you will ultimately know when it comes if it's the best, because you've put in the practice, you've put in the research, you've put in everything to it. No great individual gets something just out of a whim. And if they do, it's a one-shot thing. It never lasts, and it never creates a long-term business. If you're wanting something to last, you're wanting something to go and continually have cash flow and continually sell, do the research, get the prep beforehand so that when you launch it, it's that big spike. It gets everyone excited, and it just launches you into the future. Don't launch it if it's not ready. I know a book that I'm working on, like, I know it's not ready, so I'm not going to launch it. Because every time I write in it, there's something that always changes, and I know that I just want to give the most that I can for it. But when it is ready, it's going to be so good to put out there that everyone's going to want it. Not to boost my ego or anything, but it's I'm going to make it that good. So whatever products that you're launching, whatever service that you're putting out there, put in the time, put in the practice, put in the resources and research to be able to make it great. Because if it's great, who the heck's going to say no to it?
Okay, Coach Willie, you just brought me down on that. I'm so excited to come up and launch and get out there, and you're telling me I got to take time to make a real good product first.
Yes.
Huge point you're making there. The whole launch system is great. It works. They've proven it through example after example in this book. We as a team are working on our own launch and following this book now. But you're right. Before you do anything else, you got to have a product or a service out there that's good. If you don't put the work into it, it's not going to work. Even if you were to get a bunch of people to sign up and buy your product or service, you're going to fail, because we've all seen those companies that launched something that wasn't good, and social media is flooded with stories about how bad that product or service is, and that can destroy a company. Make sure you have the quality, put the work into it. The launch formula is not a shortcut to success. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It is a method that when you put in the effort, put in the work, have your product built up first, then follow these steps and work at it, because it's going to be work. There's success to be had. So with that, I want to close up and thank everyone for coming today, for listening to us. If you have enjoyed what you've heard, if you found some value in it, if you enjoy some positivity from it, we would absolutely love it if you would like us, or we would like it if you would love us, and like it if you would like us, and all of those things are going to come together. So please like and subscribe to Champion Reads. Again, Champion Reads, you can find us on all the major podcast platforms. So wherever you are listening to podcasts, we encourage you to continue listening to us and bring some positivity into your day. Champion Reads is brought to you by Champion Circle, founded by our wonderful, illustrious John Kovats Jr. Champion Circle can be found at mychampioncircle.com, where you can find out events and resources we have set up for you there. If you would like to join us, have comments, of course, add comments into the comments section on the platforms here, or reach out to us at info@mychampioncircle.com. Get info@mychampioncircle.com. And with that, thank you again for listening. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you next week as we wrap up the ending of Launch by Jeff Walker. Thank you.